In this video, we are going to be talking about questions like this. How to find patterns in a set of equations, describe them, and then write an equation that generalizes the pattern. After we go through the examples, you should be able to complete the problems in your review packet and on the test. Let's start with our first example. We are going to see what do these three equations have in common. So what I like to do is I go through each one and underline when I see a number be repeated. So for example, I have a 4, I have a 4, and I have another 4. In the next one, I have a 0.3, I have a 0.3, and over here another 0.3. Down here, a half, a half, a half. Then I go through and see what do I have in common in all three. It shows up in all three equations. So I'm noticing that these first numbers are different, and I'm going to keep going, and I see that they all have a plus. So I'm going to circle what they have in common. Next, these three are different, but they do all have an equal sign. And then next, I'm noticing that they all have 2 times. And then at the end, these three numbers are different. So then what I do is I'm going to skip ahead to the equation first, and that's okay. You can do the equation first, then go back to the description. So what I'm going to do is every time I underlined a number, instead of writing a number, because I want an equation that generalizes the pattern, so it's not just specific examples, it's any number, any variable. I'm going to write a line where I have an underlined number. So something, then here I have plus all the time, so I'm going to keep the plus. Then these numbers are different, so I will just write a line since I underlined them. Then I have equals, so I'll write an equals. Then all three have 2 times, so I will do 2 times. Then each of these are different, so I will just write a line, 2 times something. Then all I have to do is go in and write a variable or a letter, is another way to say variable, wherever I see a line. And then I'm going to make sure that I use the same letter. Just like how here I'm using the same number, 4, 4, 4, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, a half, a half, a half, I'm going to use the same letter, G, G, G. Now I'm going to go back and write my description. So I'm just describing what I noticed. Well, I'm noticing that I'm adding on this side, and what am I adding? I'm adding 2 numbers, and these 2 numbers are the same. I have 4, 4, 0.3, 0.3, a half, a half. So on this side, I add a number 2 times, and then this equals 2 times that number every time. 2 times whatever number it is I added 2 times over here. Let's take a look at another example now. So we're going to follow the same strategy where I underline the numbers that I have in common and circle the numbers that, or the operations that are the same in all three. So let's start with the first one. I have a 3, I have a 3, and I have a 3. Okay, I also have a 4 and a 4, 2, 2. Okay, so I have a lot of repeats. Let's try the same, 0.7, 0.7, 0.7, 4, 4, 2, 2. Here I have a 5th, a 5th, a 5th, 4, 4, 2, 2. As I was doing that, I noticed I had a lot of 4s and 2s. In fact, there are 4s and 2s in every single one of these problems. Let's see what I can circle now. So here, these are all different. I can't circle that. But look here, I have times 4 in all 3 of these, so I am going to circle that. Then I move on. Oh, I have a plus in all 3, so I will circle. These 3 are different, so I'll just leave them how they are, but I have a times 2 and equals. These are all different. Here I am multiplying, and what do you know? Everything inside the parentheses is the same here. Now let's write an equation that generalizes the pattern. So whenever I have an underline where the numbers are different, I will just write a line. So here these are different, so everything else stays the same. I'll just write a line for that. Then I have a times 4 in all of them, so I'll keep that. I have a plus in all of them, I'll keep that. Next, those numbers are all different, so I will just write a line. Then I notice I have a times 2 in all of them, and equals in all of them, different numbers, so I'll draw a line. Then times, all of them have 4 plus 2, so I will keep that. Then wherever I have a line, I'm going to write a letter. Let's do R. I'm going to stick with R the whole time. Now I need to write an explanation or a description of this pattern. So what I'm noticing is the same in all 3 equations. So here's the description that I came up with. When I multiply a number by 4 and by 2, it's the same as multiplying that number by 4 plus 2. I take a number, I multiply it by 4, and I multiply it by 2, I add them together. That's the same as multiplying that number, so whatever this number is, that number by 4 plus 2. So now it's your turn to practice this. On your own, write these 3 equations down and see if you can discover the pattern. What are you going to be underlining? What is the same within the equation? And what will you be circling? What's the same among all 3 equations? Pause the video and try it on your own. When you think you know, play it again and compare your thinking to mine. So to start, I'm going to go through and underline all the things I have in common within the same equation. So I have an 8, and I'm noticing there's an 8 here, 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 and here. Here I have a 0.9. I have 0.9, 0.9, 0.9, 0.9, 0.9. Here I have a third, a third, a third, a third, and a third. Now I'm going to go through and compare the 3 equations. When I look from top to bottom, what is the same? Well, here I have a plus, and then we have different, another plus, then it's different, but another plus after that in all 3, so I will circle it. Then different, then I have equal sign. I'm noticing I have 4 times, 4 times, 4 times, so I am going to circle that too. Now I will write an equation that generalizes this. So I will think, what did I underline? I'm going to write a line for that. Then if I circled it, it's the same in all of them. I will keep that in my equation. Different numbers that are underlined, so something plus something plus something equals 4 times something. Then where I have the lines, I will just write a letter. I'm going to do K. Now I'm going to write a description that generalizes this pattern. So I'm going to look and see, what am I doing on this side of the equation? Well, I am adding numbers, the same number. Let's count how many times. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So when I add a number 4 times equals, then I'll look and see, what do I have on this side? Well, every time I have a 4 times, so it equals 4 times. Then how do I get this number here? Oh, it's the same as here. So it equals 4 times that number. Now here is another one to try. Write these 3 equations down. Figure out what is the same within the equation, what's the same among the 3 equations. Then see if you can write both a description of what's going on here and then an equation that generalizes the pattern. So that's where we use our variables. Pause the video, try it out, and then play it again to compare your thinking to mine. So I'm going to start off underlining the numbers I have in common in the equations. So I have an 8, 8, 8, 3, 3, 7, 7, 1.1, 1.1, 1.1, 3, 3, 7, 7, 4 thirds, 4 thirds, 4 thirds, 3, 3, 7, 7. As I was doing that, I noticed I had a lot of 3 and 7s. Let's compare among the 3 equations. I see in all 3 of them I have a times 3. Let's keep going. Oh, I also have a plus. These are different, so I'll leave that. But I do have a times 7 in all. And equals. These are different. And in all of them I do have times 3 plus 7. So now when I rewrite my equation, I'm going to write lines for where the numbers are different. So a line, but next, if it's the same, if I circled it, I'll keep it. Times 3 plus something times 7 equals something times 3 plus 7. Now I will write a description, so I'm going to think about, what am I doing on this side? Well, I'm multiplying a number by 3, then I'm adding it to, it's the same number, and I multiply it by 7. So I wrote, when I multiply a number by 3 and by 7, then add them together, that's what I'm doing here, it equals, so let's see what's going on this side of the equal sign. So I'm multiplying the same number, multiply by 3 plus 7 every single time. So I can write, it equals that number times 3 plus 7. Now here are 2 problems to try on your own. So write these down, figure out what's the same among each equation and what is the same among all 3. What do they all have in common? So write these down, pause the video, see if you can answer it. When you're done, play it again and check your answers. So here are the answers that you should have had for the 2 problems. For this one here, our description should be something like this. When you add a number 3 times, it equals 3 times that number. So you should have picked a letter and used the same one for each one of these spots. The second one, when you multiply a number by 8 and by 5, then add them together, it equals that number times 8 plus 5. Then the equation should be some letter times 8 plus the same letter times 5 equals that letter times 8 plus 5. check your work. If you got something wrong, find your mistake and see if you can fix it. So that is all the review we will be doing for making equations to generalize patterns. So hopefully now you have a little bit of a better understanding and feel more confident going into the test.